Aujourd'hui, je vais parler de how much is a slice of pizza worth or should cost, or a cup of coffee, or generally a workday lunch. I mean, I know I'm already rich, but even so, up until the present day, being efficient with money matters to me. So I want to break down some simple everyday foods, and more importantly, how I reach such conclusions, right? Hey, XenPuck here. So I generously call myself a New Yorker even though I haven't actually lived there in, oh boy, almost a decade now. Wow, time really flies, doesn't it? Anyway, I mean New York City, of course, because nobody lives in the rest of the states. Kidding, internet, don't throw things at me, please. But also, due to my love of NYC, it's only natural that I love a good old slice of pizza. But lately, I've been really concerned about the trend of what's an acceptable amount of money a slice is being charged for these days. So I figured, hey, why not talk about this and that other items that are similar to a slice of pizza. Maybe I'll make a series out of it, because often people who grew up in a different generation, maybe we all lack context as to why some of us are willing to pay a slightly different type of price. I am obviously approaching old fogie-ness as is, but hey, before I start yelling at kids to get off my lawn, here's my 2 cents on a few items I absolutely feel passionate about. And that's pizza, coffee, and finally a generic workday lunch. So number one, a slice of pizza will always be worth to me no more than $1. Yep, I said it. That's how much I paid as a kid quite a long time ago, and that's where it stays in my mind mentally ever since. Yes, apparently I'm ignoring about 2 decades worth of inflation, so one might ask, how can I do that if I care about personal finances, right? Adjusted for inflation alone, this item should be about $3, more than $3 by now. Well, here's why I disagree with that, and several reasons for that, right? Number one, the actual ingredients in a regular pizza slice is incredibly cheap. This is unsurprisingly also a mass-producible item in any restaurant with pizza-making equipment. I know this is so because you can still find dollar slices today in New York City in 2021, so tell me that inflation fears has hit even pizza making. It just hasn't happened, okay? Flour doesn't cost much. 20 years ago or even now. Now, reason number two, let's take a quick look at how a national chain like Domino's might charge for pizza, right? I could get right now 2 medium pizzas for about $20 after discount, charges and taxes, I think delivery charge and taxes. So that would make a slice of pizza $1.25. Sure, these are smaller slices out of a medium-sized pizza, but I'm usually buying this on delivery, so I'm also paying extra for the delivery charge and the tip, right? And because I'm buying via a chain, I'm getting consistency instead of authenticity. So the smaller slices, I'm just going to call a trade-off, right? And if Domino's basically admits that a slice is only worth around $1, isn't that sign enough? Oh, and finally, right, some people might be like, $1 is really cheap, how can anybody make any money off of that? Well, to that I say, the places that sell dollar slices are actually not trying to make a lot of money with the dollar slices by themselves. It's really, being used to get customers through the door, and most likely you'll also buy a soda for another $1, and a soda for $1 is pure profit, okay? Plus, I also want to mention, in a large city like New York City, the real competitors against dollar slices is not other food vendors, right? But places like dive bars that simply give out pizza for free during happy hour. Oh, the memories. Now, to be clear, the free dive bar pizzas are pretty terrible, but it's still more or less edible food, and if price was my primary concern, which it was when I was in my early 20s, then even the crappy, barely edible pizza will totally do the trick, especially if I'm on my way to being drunk. Yeah? Number two, how about a cup of coffee? What's that worth? Now, everybody has heard how, people's Starbucks habits are keeping people from saving. And unsurprisingly, I do agree with that sentiment, right? You cannot get out of a Starbucks without spending at least around $5 somehow. Their raison d'etre is just coffee, right? Once again, I price a good old cup of regular coffee at $1 at most. Okay, good lord, Starbucks is a ripoff, right? I mean, I'm not complaining that Americans somehow think that Starbucks is fancy coffee, but is it really 4 to 5 times fancier or better than a cup of coffee that you can buy at any New York City street cart for only a single $1? Absolutely not. Okay, Both give you the same caffeine. The only reason people go to Starbucks is because of brand loyalty and marketing, right? Basically, Starbucks consumers are signaling to each other how bougie and or basic they are. That's all. And guess what? The basic population in the US will never have any real financial security. I mean, apart from inheriting it from mommy and daddy, of course. Oh, by the way, this pricing I can also justify via the action of another national chain, right? If you look up the subscription service of one, My Panera Plus, that's from the Panera Bread company. So that company isn't particularly well known for its coffee, but on the other hand, it's also not particularly known for being cheap in terms of being a franchise food vendor either, right? So to me, Panera is definitely actually on the slightly more expensive side of fast food casual style of restaurants. And their whole subscription service basically only offers you unlimited free coffee and tea. They do have a one drink per 2 hour, I think like minimum, I guess you would call it. But the whole plan costs $9 a month. Now think about all these facts together. The one drink per 2 hour minimum is not too bad for people who want more than a single cup of coffee per day, right? Because you can come back after 2 hours. And recall, for most people, coffee is absolutely a consistent daily habit, right? So assuming you have a Panera store near you, within a month, that's around 20 work days, assuming a customer only has 1 cup a day, that's 20 coffees for $9. We'll round up to the cost to $10 to account for taxes or whatnot. That's still an average cost of 50 cents per cup of coffee, right? Remember, I said most people, they don't even just drink 1 cup of coffee. So if you do 2 cups of coffee, that cost really is somewhere in the realms of 25 cents to 50 cents per cup. And that's pricing from a well-established, not even cheap national chain. Compare that to the $4 to $5 coffee product from Starbucks. I mean, does anyone seriously think the Starbucks product is 10 times better than a regular, consistent cup of coffee from one of its many fast food competitors? No wonder Starbucks is always getting dragged into conversations about frivolous consumer spending, because its pricing is absolutely absurd in relative terms, right? Not in absolute terms. $5 is not a lot of money. It is just much, much more expensive than it should be. Coffee should be $1 at most, not a cent more, right? Finally, okay, we've covered a food and a drink. What about when combined? What about that all-important lunch that most people have to eat at work, right? Now, hey, I worked in New York City for the majority of my career, and I've seen ladies at ad agencies pay $12 for a bowl of greens, aka a salad, for years already, right? Obviously, you know I wouldn't pay $12 for dinner, much less for lunch on a consistent basis, right? Note, I'm not saying you can't treat yourself. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. I'm just talking about spending on a regular daily basis, right? That is the type of cost that you have to account for 20 to 25 days a month, right? For those forgettable daily lunches, my pricing cap is $5. Now, I joke this should include drink, but the drink should always be water that you bring from home, right? Because tap water is better for you, not sodas. That's disgusting, right? So $5 for solid food, is that hard to do? Absolutely not. You can get most fast food burgers or sandwiches. Obviously, you cannot do the meal, no fries, because that stuff is terrible for you anyway. So just get the sandwich. You'll be staying under $5. You can look on dollar menus at the same places. You can get a pastry from a local spot. Please don't go to Starbucks, because we just talked about their ridiculous pricing. You can get a hot dog, maybe even 2 at a 7-Eleven. Or how about those dollar slices that we just talked about? Now, some of you might be like, all you've suggested are pretty unhealthy options. I'd agree. Those options are there for the sake of convenience, right? But if you really want a reasonable but also good lunch, that's easy. Just make your own food, okay? Bring your own lunch, do a bit of meal planning, and any lunch you can make at home and bring to work will be more unique, most likely be healthier, and absolutely easier on the wallet, right? I mean, here's my example, I like Mickey D's fish fillet sandwich, and it's so simple that I can recreate it at home easily. It's much better too. Better, bigger, just because I can control the fish fillet and the bread to be exactly what I want. So what's your personal take on something simple of that ilk, right? Look, in conclusion, whenever I hear people complain about the cost of things, it really makes me wonder what exactly value scale they're operating out of, right? For me, pizza coffee are just $1 each, right? Not that I won't pay more than that ever. I would, just not on a regular basis. And when I do pay for more, I expect it to do something more. Like, is it Turkish coffee? Is it pizza from a fancy wood stove? Whatever floats one's boat at the moment, right? Same with lunches. The trap of higher costs is mainly about the recurring part. Because once you get used to paying $5 for coffee or pizza or $15 for lunch, guess what? Your lifestyle has officially inflated and it will be nigh impossible to ever come down from that pedestal, right? That's why I limit my personal value scale to what I've just mentioned. This way, every time I do spend more than $1 on pizza and coffee, I know what I'm doing is some type of splurging, and then I really try to savor it, right? But on the opposite side, if it was just considered regular spending, right? If you always spend that $5 on coffee, nobody actually enjoys the $5 coffee after a while. That's how I can say spending more doesn't actually increase happiness. It just becomes a big waste, right? Now, do you agree or think I'm off my rockers? I never said I'm always right, only that these are my opinion. So sub, like, comment, share in whatever order you please. Cheers. I'll approach it.